Hey guys, so it's me, Nicolette, and today I want to talk a little bit about my own personal finance management checklist. Wow, what a mouthful. But basically my checklist in terms of managing my personal finances. Now remember that none of my videos constitute as financial advice. If you are looking for financial advice, please speak to somebody who is certified and registered with the FSCA. So let's get straight into it. What is the first thing? So let's start off with the fact that I hate gimmicks. I can't stand gimmicks. I think that National Savings Month is probably one of the worst months that we have in South Africa because all the financial institutions, the banks, the insurance companies, the investment companies all come out with these crazy campaigns about how can you save. Oh my goodness, how can you save? Bath your children in the same bath water, attend events so you can get free meals, bake your own bread. When should I be baking my own bread? When you're asking me to have more than one income stream. In other words, you're asking me to actually have more than one job, and then I must still come back home, bath my children in the same bath water, switch off the electricity, the geyser every single night, and make sure that in the morning I wake up in time to switch on the geyser, give it a bit of time, get into the bathtub, switch off the geyser again and go to work, carry a lunchbox. Like, I just don't know. I don't know. I don't think it's realistic, guys. Some of the things that we really get told about personal finance or how to save, how to invest, they really are unrealistic. They're very gimmicky. And in actual fact, it doesn't make sense. Can you imagine forgetting to actually wake up in the morning and switch on the geyser? You wake up late. Now you're bathing in cold water. You spend so much time packing up a lunch. You forget it in the fridge. You get into your car. You drive. You realize when you get to work that you haven't had breakfast. You've actually forgotten your lunch. Now you're just spending and spending and spending purely because all these little gimmicks just really did not work. So then how do you manage your finances? Because I think a lot of us want to get to a point where we can go month to month knowing that we've invested some money, we have saved some money, we've managed to pay all our bills, our kids are going to good schools, we've managed to buy ourselves a nice whatever, we can still go out. When we go to a restaurant, it's not the price that decides whether you're eating the lobster or the beef steak or the chicken or whatever, or the fish or the water or the dessert only. It's you who's actually making that decision. How do you manage your money so well? Doesn't matter how much money you're earning. So I think the first thing is to understand psychologically what money is. Let's give you an example. Ramit speaks about this in his blog about I will teach you how to be rich. And he talks a little bit about when you gain weight. Weight is something that is very similar to money. When you gain weight, it is not boom, you wake up one day and now all of a sudden you are 5-10 kilograms heavier than what you were. It's a gradual thing that happens gradually. And that's the same thing with money, is that most of what we do with our money starts off very gradually. Your lifestyle inflation starts off very gradually. Your decision to now go out every weekend starts off we're almost like little rats when it comes to our money. You know how rats actually bite you? Rats will bite you and then they will police you, like they'll go so you don't feel the pain while they still keep eating away at your feet. Don't ask me why I know about rats eating your feet, but I do know. And that's literally what we do. It's almost like a cheating spouse, right? Or a cheating partner. They cheat the first time, they realize they didn't get caught, they cheat again, they realize, oh, I can do this without getting caught. And that's what a lot of us do when it comes to money decisions. We make money decisions, and when it's not a huge implication on your life, you do it again, right? Then it's not your life doesn't blow up at once. You don't go to jail if you decide to buy a pair of stilettos instead of investing your money, right? You don't wake up the next day fat because you ate, one piece of cake on one night. It's something that happens gradually. So financial decision making also happens very gradually. It's small little things, small little decisions that you make that don't have huge immediate implications. And then one day you wake up and you realize, I'm actually in trouble. I'm in trouble. I'm over indebted. I have no savings. I actually have no investments. I don't even have a house. You wake up one day and you realize all these things. I don't have a plan for my children's future. I don't have a plan for my own future. My only retirement plan is actually the pension fund that we have at work. It's because you did it smaller, kancane kancane. And it's the same thing of the inverse. Good financial decision making also doesn't, you don't wake up one day and you're rich. That's why I hate these lists of 10 tips to becoming rich, 10 tips to build your wealth. No, like those things, they don't happen. They don't happen like that. So, it's small little financial decisions that you've got to make every single day so that you start building these good habits. It's the same thing when it comes to food. Guys, we know the less food you eat, the less fat you're going to have. Well, that's technically what the math is. Yeah, sometimes there's hormonal issues and a whole lot of issues. But the simple calculation is if you eat less calories, you're going to have less calories in your body. In other words, less calories to turn into fat. Therefore, you're probably going to lose weight, right? But now you got to eat 500 calories a day. Now that's unrealistic. So what do most people do? They then go to the gym so they can burn more calories, right? That's what a lot of people do, and they try and burn as many calories. Same thing with money. You gotta make the money, you gotta spend as little as possible, right? But the reality is life hits you and it's difficult to spend as little as possible because you've got this huge amount of responsibilities that you've gotta pay for. So then what do we say? Make more money. But what we're realistically saying to you is get more financially literate because making more money is not necessarily going to help you in the long run. So going back to my checklist, these are the things that I make sure that I've got put in place so that I don't have to worry about money every single day, because it must be so stressful having to worry about money. But also when an emergency hits you, it must be so stressful thinking I actually do not have a plan. So let's talk a little bit about some of the things that I do. The first thing that I've managed to do is that I have managed to increase my income streams. And the only reason why I have to increase my income streams is because I am not a minimalist. I'm just going to be very honest with you guys. I am not a minimalist. I am the type of person that wants a Range Rover. I am the type of person that wants the house with the lift and the elevator in my house with the swimming pool. I know nothing about being a minimalist, and I've got absolutely no interest in being a minimalist. Don't tell me about being a minimalist. Up until I've lived the life that I really want to live, only after then when I can start saying, yeah, life is about happiness. Happiness is about freedom. Freedom is about access and choice and no, leave me alone. Let me do that. Hence why I've got more than one income stream so that I can fund that type of a lifestyle that I've got. But I'm being smart in how I have got my additional income streams. A couple of years ago, worked myself to a standstill, had 7 jobs, unrealistic, impractical. It does not work. In actual fact, the cost of doing that is you not being able to see your friends, your family, not being able to rest, not being able to have your brain just shut down for 2 seconds, not being able to go on holiday without checking emails, not being able to take leave without checking WhatsApps. So it doesn't work. So you need to be smart about the types of income streams you've got, and what you need to essentially do is to increase your passive income streams versus your active income streams. And that's what I have done. That's absolutely first thing that you've got to do. I actually have a list, right? Then the second thing you've got to do is you've got to start a business, or you've got to start thinking like a business. What do I mean? You've got to either start a business, an actual business, or you've got to have an entrepreneurial ways of thinking even in your job. This means that you understand that what is my actual product? My product is time. If I am working in a business, in a company, right? If I'm running a business, whatever business I am in, that is my business. I could be in the business of livestock, right? So in actual fact, I'm investing and I'm in the business, I'm trading livestock. Or I could be in the business of what I do now, financial education. So doing these kind of videos and selling, putting them up on YouTube, getting paid by YouTube, getting paid by brands to do this kind of work. You need to have an entrepreneurial spirit so that you understand that you cannot be stagnant. Because the thing is, a lot of us go into these jobs, we become stagnant, we derive absolutely no value for our employer, and then we want to walk into our employer and say, I need a raise. And then the employer's like, okay. When they start thinking about what value are you actually, can they actually argue with the type of value that you're bringing to come back and say, actually, even after 3 years of you working here, your rate is still 2 Rand per hour. And that's how you got to be an entrepreneur. You got to say, how many hours do I spend in a week at my workplace? How much am I being paid for it? And you got to divide that by the hours and realize what your actual day or hourly rate is. Once you've got that, that's thinking like an entrepreneur. Once you've got that pen down and figured out, you've got to then increase your value so that when you go to negotiate your hourly rate or your day rate with your employer, now it starts to correlate and starts to make sense. I always say to people whenever I speak at employee engagement, employee whatever, I say if you are still skills-wise, education-wise, if you're still at the same place that you were last year, in actual fact, you don't even deserve that inflationary increase that employers give you, because you need to do better. You need to become valuable so they've got no reason to say no to you asking for an increment. So that's the next thing. The second thing you need to do is you need to get medical aid. Guys, you are your most important asset. So I don't believe in medical aid for my own personal reasons. Medical aid sometimes seems like a scam, especially in South Africa. But there are other policies in which you can get and put in place that can secure you. Because if you are out of circuit, you cannot generate income. So if you didn't get the passive income step, which was step number 1, right? If you didn't get that, it means that you are wholly reliant on this body that God has given you to be able to generate an income. So you've got to take care of this body. So get a proper medical aid, invest in a medical aid, or invest in a hospital cover, or invest in a hospital insurance. Whatever it is that is not going to put you out of pocket if something is to happen to you. That also involves you taking care of the most important asset, eating well, guys. You've got to eat well. It's important to eat well. Your body actually needs nourishing. I get into this in the book that I'm writing, and I'm sorry, the book is coming out, guys. Don't stress. It's going to be coming out very soon. It might just be your New Year's resolution book that you are looking forward to. Right. The next thing that you've got to do is you've got to get life cover. But when I talk about life cover, I'm not talking about this life cover that you call on the phone and they give you life cover. No, you've got to get underwritten life cover. Life cover where you've done all the medical tests, you've done all the lifestyle tests, it is tailored to you, it speaks to you, you've sat with a financial advisor, you've gone through your needs, you've gone through what you are afraid of. And what you're afraid of is things like disability, things like losing your income. A lot of people say to me, yeah, but I don't have children. Why do I need life cover? Well, you need life cover so that you don't become a burden to somebody else. So make sure that you've got comprehensive life cover that has a funeral cover, an accelerated funeral cover, because what that means is when you die, that accelerated funeral cover will pay within the first 24 hours. They bury you, you're gone, sharp, no problem. Now your life cover pays out after that. So it's important for you to have a life cover, guys. It baffles me that people don't have a life cover. Right, then you need to get a property. Now, I know a lot of people will argue, why keep a property? A property is not a great investment. It doesn't have to be a great financial investment. In actual fact, over the long run, property is one of the assets that do well. But let's talk about the immediate need of an actual home. Dignity, a safety net, feeling like you belong. Those things are part of being a human being. We can't all just think about numbers only. You've got to think about the fact that you need to have a home. You know, there's nothing more special about saying, "Nanomagunyiwa." My children have a cover of their head, over their head. I know where I go home. I know where to call home. Guys, every single time I see homeless people, but like older homeless people, not even the young ones who sometimes run away from home, but older homeless people, my heart breaks. I'm like, where's their home? Guys, a home is more than just a financial asset. A property is an important asset. Once you get your primary property in order, then you can start deciding whether or not it's valuable for you to invest in property. That's between you and your God. That's between you and your financial advisor. That's between you and your numbers. But get a home for yourself and for your children, somewhere where you will retire when things are bad. You don't want to end up in a situation where you get permanently or temporarily disabled. Like now you're living in an apartment somewhere at town, there's stairs up and down, you can't even go up and down, no one can even restructure that thing so that you are okay. Right, the next thing is have an emergency savings account. I can't stress how important, guys, it is to have an emergency savings account. Guys, you need to have an emergency savings account because emergencies are not going to come knocking at your door and saying, hello, we're here, we're an emergency. How many hours should we give you until we actually need you to react? Emergencies happen quickly, so they need you to react quickly. And in an instance where it's a financial emergency, you've got to have reserves where you can tap into, so that when these things happen, you do not panic and end up being desperate to go for these short-term loans, temporary loans, overdrafts, credit cards. So you need to have that little nest for yourself. I always say, take your entire bills, your monthly expenses, calculate how much you actually need to pay every single month. As long as you can cover 1 month, you are good. If you can cover yourself for 1 month, all your living expenses, and you've got that money put away somewhere, it is important. If you've got an Access bond account, put it in your Access bond account, because it will come in handy. 1, it will kill the interest that you've got to pay. But 2, if you need it, you just go and fetch it, because it's your money. Very important to have emergency savings accounts, right? Invest in something you can forget about. Guys, most of us are not even professionally accredited or even have the brains to be able to think and work like people that have gone to school to do financial planning and financial investing and have investment policies and investment bankers. Most of us don't have the luxury of that. In actual fact, most of us are not even interested in that. I don't give a fuck about not knowing how to calculate a bond repayment value, IRR, NPV values, real-time value of money. I don't care about not being able to do those things, because those things are not real life to me. They may be real life to somebody that is chasing a career in that space. They're not real life to me. So the mere fact that I didn't go into that stream to study that stuff means that I'm actually not interested in knowing how to calculate those things. You know what I care about? I care about when the next sale is going to happen there by Balmain. That's what I care about. I care about when Property 24 has got very nice properties, 2-bedroom homes that are going below 850,000 rand. Those are the things that I care about, okay? I care about what is happening in the marketing trends. I care about content development. I care about YouTube. Those are the things that I care about. Why should we all now become these financial analysts and all these people? Stop stressing yourself, okay? If you're not going to sort out the help of a financial advisor or a wealth manager, and you want to do this in yourself, then invest in something that has a compounding effect, number 1, but number 2, it's something you can forget about. You buy yourself a portfolio of shares and forget about them, okay? Warren Buffett says you need to invest in something that is going to be here for the next 20 years. You've got to be forward thinking. So take whatever you're doing, take your own industry that you're working in, and ask yourself, which of the companies that are listed in your industry do you believe will still be here in a couple of years? And those are the things that you've got to invest in, because if you're really going to stress yourself about which unit trust to invest in, which ETF to invest in, oh my goodness, you're going to die thinking about those things. That's why whenever I get these questions about where should I invest, I'm like, listen, just find something that's got a compounding effect, something you can put money away, and you're going to be sorted, because compound interest does not lie. Time does not. Time is the magic piece that makes your money actually work, because even when the market goes down, when the market recovers, it catches your money in time, right? And literally the magic happens. So I say invest in something that you can forget. I can't even sit today sitting here. I can't even tell you 10 of the companies that I've bought shares in, because I don't care. I've bought them. If it flunks, it flunks. If it doesn't, everything in life is not guaranteed. Nothing in life is guaranteed. We're all gambling. Investing is a gamble. So honestly speaking, just put your money away and relax. Right. Your second biggest purchase, guys, is going to be your car. So get car insurance. It makes absolutely no sense to me that people don't have car insurance, or they don't buy a car they can afford. It is a big purchase. So buy a car that is not going to stress you. Buy a car that you can afford. Buy a car that is not going to make you cry every single month. I say this all the time. You barely drive your car. To be quite honest, it's very unrealistic and impractical to pay almost 20,000 rand for something that is going to be parked half of the time. It makes absolutely no sense. If you're not going to if you don't want to park it, then put it into Uber Eats. But I know you guys are driving these German cars that you'll never put into Uber Eats. You'll never have somebody driving your car and delivering Uber, because how dare you, right? How dare you generate an additional income to pay off that installment? No, what will people say? So you're not going to do that. So make sure that you buy a car that actually makes sense, and get car insurance, guys. It makes no sense that people don't have car insurance, right? Then the government gave us a gift, guys. The 2 things that are bad for investments. 2 things that are bad for investments. Number 1, fees that you pay. Number 2, SARS, tax paying tax on your investments can become a huge killer of investments or returns. So it's important for you to make sure that you use your tax incentives when it comes to investing. The tax-free savings account. I don't know how much I can actually talk about the tax-free savings account, because for me it's a through pass. You know, when you are out with your boys and you know that you are not the hottest guy in your clique, and one of your hot boy guy friends gives you a through pass, and you see a girl and he's like, nah, I'm chill for tonight, I'm relaxed, and he gives you a through pass, you take that through pass. You don't let the through pass go away, guys. You take it. And that's literally what a tax-free savings account is. I can't stress that enough. It's a through pass. Take the through pass. You don't pay tax. If you leave that thing sit there, it can actually become your retirement plan. A lot of people don't think about this. It can actually become your children's education policy. If you just let that thing chill, you just need to let it chill. Pay the 33,000 every single month if you can afford it. If you can't, pay less up until the time in your life where you can invest as much as the 33,000 rand every single month. And I'm telling you, over the years, the government will increase that threshold. So it will start becoming even more and more attractive. But you've got to start early because, again, compound interest, my friends. Right. If you are lucky and you're working in a company, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but if you are lucky and you're working in a company where they're forcing you to take a pension fund or a retirement fund or some sort of retirement fund with a retirement annuity, a provident fund or whatever, right? Take it, but make sure that you maximize the 27.5. I say to people, if you're going to negotiate anything with your employer, stop stressing about negotiating the actual salary that you get paid. Those are the small things. The thing that you need to negotiate is their percentage and their contribution to your pension fund. Make sure they contribute a huge chunk so that you can maximize that 27.5% of your salary. Remember, if you are paying 27.5%, that 27.5 gets taken first before you actually get taxed. So it makes sense for you to want to actually maximize the 27.5% and use it and put your money away, especially if you are being forced to invest in such a thing. Rather make sure that you get the most out of it than getting the least out of it and then trying to go somewhere else and get a retirement annuity and pay more fees again because you are restarting a new product with another service provider. It makes no sense. So I would say, even if you're not maximizing it based on what your employer is actually contributing, you yourself can do voluntary contributions and just maximize that thing, guys, so that you can get as much value out of it as possible. Remember, it is tax-free up until obviously retirement. When you take your one third, you still take out that 1/3, right? And then you're going to actually buy a living annuity or a death and whatever it's called for when you are now in retirement. Right. The last thing that I do that is on my checklist is I have fun. I have guilt-free money every single month because I'm not trying to get stressed about money every single month. So some of the things that I do is I don't like checking prices on clothes. If it's something that I like and I'm buying it with my guilt-free money, I'm not checking the price. I'm sorry, I won't do that to myself because I want it, therefore I will buy it. Obviously, I'm not stupid. I'm not going to go to a shop, a Burberry or a Luminance anymore. Because now I know those shops are expensive. But if I'm in an Edgar's or I am in a Foschini and there's a jacket I like, trust fam, I'm going to buy it and I'm not going to check the price. I don't check prices on food because if I've gone to a restaurant, I'd like to believe that I want to eat whatever is at the restaurant because I don't just go to restaurants every single month, right? If I want to get a private chef into my house, I'll get a private chef, guys. If I want to splurge on data and buy myself an additional gig, I'm going to do that. So those are the little things that are very integrated in my life that I feel like really guilt-free money. I want to use my guilt-free money. So I make sure that I, again, have an additional income that generates my guilt-free money so that I can blow that money, because it's important that you do not become a miserable person who has money. Can you imagine how miserable you must be having money in your bank account or invested, but you can't even spend it? No, guys, it makes absolutely no sense. So those are the things that belong or are on my checklist in terms of my personal finances. That's how I'm managing my personal finances. I don't overcomplicate investing. I invest in things that I know are going to be there and they're going to last. So, as I said, not financial advice. Take whatever you take, leave whatever you leave. Take everything with a pinch of salt. Very, very important to take things with a pinch of salt. Mwah, 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 mwah.